At First Choice Bank, we know you can't always make it before the bank closes. With our integrated teller, you can talk to a live person as late as 7 p.m. on weekdays and noon on Saturdays. It's not just an ATM, it's an ITM. First Choice Bank, your choice for banking.
You wonder how they're going to experience the real world in real safety, where all kids are welcome and everyone has a path forward to new skills, advancement, leadership, something they will carry with them the rest of their lives.
Mississippi's trusted weather experts. This is Mississippi Live Weather at 5.
Good afternoon and welcome into Mississippi Live Weather at 5. Beautiful across North Mississippi as we went about our Tuesday, and those great conditions continue to stick around, but at one cost, and that cost being her rainfall. It's going to be a while before we see a drop in that extended forecast. That's one of the things we're tracking here in the Room to Room Weather Center, but first starting out with the here and now, and that's those beautiful, not just afternoon conditions, but even into those evening hours. So hey, if you have to attend a soccer game or a baseball game or anything like that, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, well, then you'll have great conditions for it. We're also tracking how those drier conditions persist into the rest of this week. Yes, rainfall is going to be hard to come by, so that drought monitor coming out Thursday, not exactly waiting with eager anticipation, but we do expect that to worsen. But we're also looking at cooler temperatures by the weekend. One of the things we're excited about in that extended forecast, and we'll take a look at that here momentarily. But like I mentioned, it's going to be a great afternoon and evening, as you can see with the first 12, 6 p.m., 85 degrees, 73 by 9, and we're steadily cooling off into tomorrow morning right around the mid-60s, similar to what we had this morning and similar to what we had this morning also with those dry conditions. So another dry day or dry morning for our Wednesday, and those dry conditions will stick around for those afternoon plans as well. Amory, 88 degrees right now, feels like 90, so luckily that feels like value, not completely overbearing. So that's where, yes, it's warmer, it's above average, but at least it's still bearable in the grand scheme of things. Winds coming out about 10 miles an hour there from the north-northeast, so at least bringing some of those breezes to help cool us off. That northerly wind definitely appreciated here in North Mississippi. 86 degrees, dew point right around 57 in Oxford, and similar thing that we had in Monroe County. It's just those drier conditions dominating our region that keeps the rainfall out, but also keeps those temperatures on the more bearable side. Feels like 84 in Oxford, so definitely no complaints there. And as we look out there towards Clarksville, around 86 degrees right now, 7 miles an hour out of the northeast. So conditions favorable, they're perfect. Anything you need to get done this evening, go ahead and take it outdoors. If it's just dinner or, like I said, any of those Little League games, Mississippi Live Weather Radar showcases those dry conditions. And similar to what we did yesterday, we could expand this back about 6 hours and still not see a drop of rainfall. Even those sprinkles that Futurecast was predicting that we said, take it lightly. Well, I'm glad we specified that because those rain chances haven't even verified. So it shows that we are in a very dry environment and rainfall going to be very hard to come by. But whenever we look at satellite imagery as well, I've been mentioning those dry conditions. We're seeing sunny conditions on top of that with a little bit of those thin clouds across the Mississippi Delta, Cleveland, Greenville, and Hollandale, right along Highway 61, but just east of I-55. That's where we're seeing that bountiful sunny skies. Is going to be a perfect forecast. I can't say it enough as we go about the 5 o'clock hour. So Mississippi Live Weather Radar, as you may notice right here, we're just staying dry into those afternoon and evening hours. Again, there's thin clouds developing out there towards Cleveland, Greenville, and Hollandale, but overall we're not high that those clouds are going to produce anything meaningful with moisture. If anything, it'll just block that sunshine, but at this point in the day, it doesn't really matter. We're in this dominant ridging pattern right now, and that ridge is basically usually paired with some of that drier air. So that's what we're continuing to enjoy here in the southeast, but not too far away. And over there, our neighbors in Georgia and the Carolinas dealing with Umberto and Imelda, as you can see, both of which are a hurricane as of this point, but Umberto starting to diminish in strength, and Imelda pretty much remains stationary, not really going to increase too much from where we sit right now. We'll track that here in just a moment, but definitely keeping eyes on the tropics. And yeah, it's definitely a situation where you don't really see that too often with with two hurricanes very close by. I mean, I'm curious how far those are apart. Let's track this. From the heart of that storm to the heart of the other one, about 300 to 400 miles. That's insane whenever it comes to what we typically see. So those are going to continue to, oh, I don't want to keep drawing. There we go. Those are going to continue to keep battling in that atmosphere, but overall they're just going to end up finishing each other off. And as they move further out in the Atlantic, the only effects that we'll get here are some decent rainfall and some rip currents and some large waves over there towards the Atlantic coast of Florida. 10 p.m., the ridging pattern does continue and high pressure remains dominant in our area. A little bit of that Gulf moisture trying to surge there into North Mississippi into those overnight hours, but no rainfall is expected. And even if we do get one of those showers to verify, we're talking a drizzle at most. And that's very isolated, so the effects are going to be little to nothing, similar to what we've been expecting. Wednesday morning, clear skies across the good portion of North Mississippi, making way for another sunny, dry, clear, and warm day. 65 degrees around 6, 72 by 9, and 84 there towards noon. You do see those temperatures climbing into the afternoon hours, about 89 to 90 degrees definitely possible. And then as we get towards the evening, yes, you do see 10% possible, but similar to what we were tracking this time yesterday, it's a few sprinkles at most when it comes to those 10% chances. So not anything significant, not anything impactful. So don't get out the rain gear. More than likely, you won't even be seeing a drop. Again, that's for 90% of us as we get into tomorrow evening's plans. But as we head into the next 60, and we're going to look at that extended forecast in a bit more detail, just how long this ridging pattern will stick around for and what our hope is in that extended forecast to at least bring some rainfall here to North Mississippi. I didn't say significant rainfall. We're just tracking some rainfall, and we'll take what we can get at this point. So that's coming up here in the Room to Room Weather Center at Mississippi Live Weather at 5 in the next 60. Keep it here for the very latest. Is it good?
Visualize perfection, freshly picked ingredients, tantalizing flavors, sweet and sour intertwine, and dance into your glass. One-of-a-kind arrangements, hitting every note. Why wait for the weekend? It's on at the grill.
Get ready for a night of inspiration, laughter, and support. Join us on Saturday, October 4th at 6 p.m. at the Tupelo Cotton Mill, where outstanding men from our community will walk in her shoes. You'll hear powerful stories from survivors and caregivers, enjoy delicious food and drinks, and experience live entertainment in an evening filled with fellowship, fun, and hope. All proceeds go to support those bravely fighting cancer. This event is powered by Wear It Well.
Being a parent, especially for the first time, with that comes a lot of self-doubt. As a dad, I just try to lead by example. When you're trying to be the best person that you can be, your kids see that and then they emulate that.
Right now, from the Room to Room Weather Center, here's meteorologist Gabe Maynor.
Well, welcome back to Mississippi Live Weather at 5. Here's a live look there in the Atlantic coast as we're getting a look at Imelda and Umberto, both low-end hurricanes as of this point. But the fact that we are 400 miles apart from having two hurricanes very close to the United States, we are very fortunate to not have any direct impacts here in the United States. But getting some of that moisture wrapping around and giving us a few showers there towards Charlotte and around the D.C. area. So tracking a few showers and storms over towards that region, but not any effects here in North Mississippi. Umberto already starting to diminish there into a Category 1 storm, and same thing with Imelda, strengthened to a Category 1 hurricane, but now starting to remain stationary. Might increase into a Category 2, but that's really the extent of these storms that we have. Now we have just a brief look at the tropical satellite imagery. Usually around this time it's tough to see because as that sun sets, we lose some of that imagery, and so that will continue to recede into the 6, 7, and 8 o'clock hour. So what we're left with right now is a look at Umberto, again diminishing in strength, but Imelda still pretty decent structure on that storm, but some of that dry air around the Cuba area and Dominican Republic area starting to circulate in, and that's of course going to take that storm out. So that's why we don't expect any significant impacts from these storms, both of which are carrying out there into the Atlantic, and so we're not going to be seeing anything here, not in North Mississippi, and aside from a few showers out there towards Carolinas and Georgia, that's really the extent of the effects we'll see here. So as you can see, moisture basically Georgia, Carolinas, Virginia, and a little bit of East Tennessee, but that's as far west as it goes. North Mississippi staying on the drier side, and honestly we need some of that tropical moisture. We need some of that to knock out some of these drought conditions, but we're not even getting a drop of anything as of this point, whether it's tropical or whether it's just some of those pop-up showers, both of which staying void of North Mississippi and keeping us on the drier side. And we're continuing to see that at the 5:09 hour, should I say. Getting a live look outside, Greenville 84 degrees, a little bit of those thin layer of clouds over there in the skies in the Greenville community. Winds coming out about 12 miles an hour out of the northwest, so keeping conditions cooler, but also keeping it much more bearable. Kosciuszko, 84 degrees as well. You can see some of those clouds are in the distance, but I do see some blue skies popping up. So it is a beautiful sight to at least enjoy some of those great conditions for any of those evening plans. Take it outside, go to the park, do whatever you got to do this evening, but make sure to enjoy the outdoors. 86 degrees in Fulton. You can see it feels like 86, dew point around 59 degrees, so that drier air once again in place, and plenty of blue skies as you see right there in the distance. So even Fulton in Itawamba County looking good to go. Take a Futurecast into our evening plans, and you might notice that we are going to keep those partly cloudy conditions for the most part, but even those start to dissolve as we get into those overnight hours. Now, I want to say this, Futurecast trying to get ambitious with a few of these pop-up showers happening. We're not expecting that into these overnight hours. Still, those winds coming out of the north, cycling in some of that drier air, and so that'll continue to keep our forecast dry, keep our forecast a little bit more cool and feeling dry, which of course keeps those temperatures much more bearable. So heading into those overnight hours, temperatures start to diminish, and we're going to continue to see that partly cloudy sky, but as we get into our Wednesday morning, look at how this just starts to recede a little bit. So some of that moisture being carried away and being left with more of those clear conditions for the start of our Wednesday. And Wednesday morning, we'll be waking up and heading out the door to a beautiful start to our Wednesday. Hey, halfway through the week, guys, we're going to get there in one piece. I promise that. Low temperatures, 65 Amory, Tupelo, 63 Boonville and Corinth, and 66 there towards Greenwood and Cleveland. So still a mild start to the day, a little bit above average for what we typically expect this time of year, but we've been dealing with it the past several mornings. In my opinion, it's honestly the perfect temperature because you don't need additional layers. You don't need less layers. It's just a comfortable temperature, all things considered. So no complaints about 65 degrees. Drop off going to be pretty warm for what we typically expect this time of year. Drop off around 89 degrees. And keep in mind, this is the first day of October. Yes, the next burn month on the list. And we are going to be enjoying above average conditions similar to what we've been experiencing it's basically the end of summer and into the start of fall, all things considered. So as we keep Futurecast going into our Wednesday, you might notice that cloud cover starts to recede even more, and we'll be left with clear conditions for the majority of our Wednesday. At most, you might see a stray cloud here and there, but not putting anything on those blue skies and giving us plenty of sunshine as the day persists. Winds still coming out of the north, but it's going to be more of a lighter breeze, so not going to be as accommodating to those above average temperatures. Of course, we love those breezes, but can't expect it all the time. Into that mid-afternoon, we see some of those showers trying to move in from the Gulf, but even that is just a little bit of an uphill battle as it enters into the North Mississippi area. So not expecting any rain chances here in our area, staying on the drier side as we get towards that 4, 5, and 6 o'clock hour on our Wednesday. So as we carry that forecast into our Wednesday afternoon, temperature-wise, it's going to be above average, like I mentioned. 90 Houston, 90 Bruce, and 90 Water Valley, 89 Senatobia and South Haven, and 89 around the Tupelo area. If we carry that forecast into our Thursday, this will be our final day of seeing some of those above average temperatures. Yes, temperatures taking a step back into the weekend, right on time for our Friday night football games and right on time for our Saturday football games as well. I believe, State's away and Ole Miss. I think Ole Miss is on a bye week this week, so I think they get to take a little bit of a break. I got to look at that forecast behind the scenes here in just a moment. But either way, if it's here or if it's away, it should be a good forecast. 6 a.m. on your Thursday, waking up to those beautiful blue skies once again, and those continue to stick around into that mid to late morning, and then we get into the afternoon. More of that beautiful weather once again persisting in the forecast. Winds not coming out of the north now, they're coming primarily out of the east, and that'll continue to keep some of that moisture, some of that, I'm not going to say sticky feeling, but at least some of those moist values in the forecast for our Thursday afternoon might bump those temperatures up a degree or two. 6 p.m., you still see those dry conditions persisting. So even if we are going to get some of that moisture in the forecast, we're not talking about anything rainfall-wise. So that forecast, unfortunately or fortunately, staying dry, however you want to look at it, it's good for afternoon activities outside, but it's not good whenever it comes to our drought monitor, which we'll get a look at on our Thursday as it heads later in this week. 87 Tupelo, Houston, 87 Starkville, and 88 around Grenada. So slowly but surely taking a step back on that forecast temperature-wise. And by the time we get towards this weekend, we're talking 85 degrees Saturday and 85 Sunday. Winds coming out of the east about 5 to 10 miles an hour. Still should see plenty of sunshine, but Sunday, that's your day to pay attention to at some chances of rainfall. As you can see, isolated showers transitioning more into the area by Sunday afternoon. That's that Gulf disturbance that we were talking about yesterday evening. Still in the forecast of bringing in a few of those isolated to maybe scattered showers. Right now, our percentage is around 20% there for the latter part of our Sunday, but really pushing into our Monday. So we're going to keep those chances lingering around. So make sure to have that Mississippi Live Weather app to track the very latest on that forecast. But other than that, sunshine sticking around all week long, even with those temperatures diminishing into the weekend. So Enjoyable is an understatement. It's going to be a perfect forecast, so get out there and enjoy it. And Matt, I see you over there, or do you want?
Yeah.
Do you want me to come to you?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, and I see what's behind you, and that is a big part with our Friday and Saturday football. A big sign of our weekend. Just what are we seeing vote-wise for where we're headed Friday night?
So, I'm doing some behind-the-scenes stuff here today as Gabe is taking care of the Sunny and Clear and doing a great job. We have our Mississippi Live Game of the Week brought to you by, of course, Langston Lott, Casey Lott, and the voting has been very fierce so far today, but so far it looks like New Albany at Pontotoc. After an early lead for Water Valley and Bruce, New Albany at Pontotoc is in the lead there with 42% of the votes so far that have been cast. Kemper County versus East Webster, 10%, about 15% there for East Union and Myrtle. Kind of get into what some of those numbers would actually look like on that to see whether or not we can, we'll end up maybe getting a comeback there out of the second place. But New Albany and North Pontotoc, 3,500 votes, just a little bit more than 3,500 votes for that. And Water Valley Bruce, we're looking at about 2,700 votes. So it's going to be a bit of an uphill battle there. So we will see whether or not Water Valley and Bruce, I know that's a huge game. A lot of folks on commenting on that yesterday, wanting that to be our game of the week. And so many of you voting so far, about 8,200 votes. So we will see. A reminder that the vote only counts if it's one of these clicked. I know you can see there's 506 comments, and if I were just to scroll down there, tons of those are Bruce or Myrtle, North Pontotoc, so lots of people saying Bruce, Bruce, Bruce. That's great. It only counts at the top of the page there if it's in one of these selections. That means you can only make one. So tag your friends, tag your school, and we'll see who ends up being our Mississippi Live Game of the Week, again presented by Langston Lott there. Gabe, certainly we are looking at, I think, what is a pretty spectacular forecast, getting closer to that time period. So we're excited for what that means later this week, because that 84, pretty nice. Of course, sunscreen probably necessary earlier on that. We get there a little earlier, so that makes a difference.
Well, and also I do want to say 60 degrees will surprise you. I mean, not polo and shorts weather as we wrap up that game. We learned that last week. Yeah. And I will definitely have at least a long sleeve to put on as we do those highlights at 10. But yeah, Matt, it's just going to be a forecast where it's hot in the afternoon and cool overnight. Just a tale of two forecasts as we head into that fall season. So one of the ways you can stay prepared with that fall season, the craziness of the weather that we're expecting, is with the Mississippi Live Weather app, with the Mississippi Live Weather app. It, of course, updates you on those temperatures. It updates you on those rain chances, which rain chances are going to be hard to come by. So the moment you see a percentage, you can cheer, and you'll be able to see that at the availability of the Mississippi Live Weather app. And you'll also access our 24/7 stream, which, as you can see, live shows in that stream at 5 o'clock, you're watching right now. Next one at 6, and then our following one tonight at 10, updating you on what to expect for the following day, which in this case would be for our Wednesday. And you can even wake up and stay prepared at 6:37 and 7:30 with meteorologist Maggie McCauley, giving you the latest on what to expect for the day ahead. We just want you guys to be prepared, and don't want you guys to be disappointed whenever you see that low percentage on those rain chances. We'll track that in more detail coming up in the Room to Room Weather Center tonight at 6. We'll see you guys there, but until then, have a great evening.
You may see a teen struggling to find his way. At Boys and Girls Clubs, we see a teen gaining the confidence and skills to land his first job. Kids today need people to see their potential and help them achieve it. At Boys and Girls Clubs, we do whatever it takes to help kids succeed. Because when we see young people, we see limitless possibilities. Do you? Join us, Boys and Girls Clubs. Great futures